When Americans go to the polls next November, who will they vote for to become the 47th President of the United States? Just as interesting a question, how many candidates and parties will there be for voters to choose from on the ballot? With all the shenanigans going on at the DNC, it appears that yet another Democratic candidate may break away and run third party against Joe Biden. This means that not only one or two, but possibly four Democrat Party figures may be running for president against Trump simultaneously in 2024 under different party lines. So today we're giving an update on the state of the race for president in 2024. Let's discuss. This summer we've made several videos covering the race for president in 2024. We've discussed the Republican primary and the Democrat shadow primary. We've discussed Cornel West, No Labels, and RFK Jr. While some things have stayed the same, many others have changed with time. Candidates switching parties, competition changing from within, all because Joe Biden is a terrible candidate, leaving those who are anti-Trump looking for other options besides the incumbent president, Joseph R. Biden. This phenomenon is now leading to what may be a historic five-way presidential election in 2024. So how will we reach 5 candidates in this presidential election? Let's go through the list. First, we have the 2 major parties. Starting us off, Republicans are set to nominate former President Donald J. Trump as the party's nominee for the 3rd time, although the Uniparty is doing all in its power to stop this from happening. A total of 4 indictments have been levied against former President Trump, totaling to a possibility of over 600 years in prison if convicted on these phony charges. Yet Trump is still leading the pack in every single state primary poll. The only chance any other candidate has is if the swamp is actually successful in convicting the former president through a kangaroo court, thereby putting him behind bars. But that scenario is almost impossible to occur before the 2024 election. And with the left so far divided, he may be able to win regardless of all the BS thrown at him. The American people can clearly see that this man represents a threat to the establishment, and that is why they continue to support him despite all the charges piling up against him. Trump will make America great again if he wins in 2024. On the flip side, Democrats are set to nominate incumbent president Joseph R. Biden for now. But as we get closer and closer to the primaries, more and more Democrats are sounding the alarm bells that Joe Biden is unfit to continue as president, and that both Biden and Harris should step aside for a new leader to take the nomination in 2024. I put out a whole video on who Biden's potential replacements could be, and I'll leave a link to that down below and in the video cards up above. One thing is clear. If Democrats do plan to replace Joe Biden at the top of their ticket, it would be orchestrated to ensure another member of the neoliberal Democrat faction takes the top slot. Not a progressive, not a conservative, but someone just like Joe Biden. And that almost guarantees that 2 of the other 4 left-wing candidates stay in this presidential race. Next up to the plate, we have the centrist organization, No Labels. Most of the information from my prior video on this organization still holds up. No Labels is still planning to create a centrist uniparty ticket, with 1 Democrat and 1 Republican running together if the major parties decide to nominate Joe Biden and Donald Trump yet again. The most likely nominee for the No Labels ticket appears to be Senator Joe Manchin, who is yet to announce whether he plans to run for re-election to the Senate or if he really is running for president in 2024. In addition to him, we also have Larry Hogan, who, while currently out of office, just recently put out a very campaign-esque video touting all his accomplishments while he was governor of Maryland.
We had leaders from all across the country fly in today.
No place in America where these very same principles will not succeed.
This is suspicious, seeing that Larry Hogan has said he is not running for the Republican nomination for president, nor is he running for Senate in Maryland, leaving only one option. If he is to run for office again, it would have to be a third-party bid for president. Other potential contenders could be Mitt Romney, who just announced his retirement from the Senate, though I find that suspicious because he just said that he wants to pass the torch to a younger generation of leaders, and this would go against everything he said in his announcement video that he's no longer going to run for re-election to the Senate. And lastly, we also have a potential no parties ticket that includes Chris Christie, who has stated that he will not support Donald Trump if Trump is the Republican nominee for president. Personally, I see Chris Christie as more of a VP candidate for the no labels ticket than as the main presidential candidate. Because he's already running for president as a Republican, it would defeat the whole centrist aspect of the ticket. But we'll have to wait and see, as No Labels is currently quietly working to get ballot access in as many states as possible ahead of the 2024 election to ensure that they can offer a serious third-party challenge for president come November 2024. Next up on the far left, we have Cornel West in his bid for president. When we last discussed Cornel West, he was running for president as a member of the People's Party. But since then, he has switched parties and is now running for the Green Party nomination for president. This will allow him access to far more states in the 2024 election when it comes to ballot access. The Green Party already has access in the key states of Wisconsin, Michigan, Maine, and North Carolina, as well as an active effort to get access in Georgia, allowing for far-left progressives to break away from Biden and vote for a candidate that more accurately represents their interests and beliefs in these critical 2024 battleground states. Lastly, we get to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. RFK Jr., for the duration of his campaign so far, has been very clear that he is running to win the Democratic nomination for president and is not interested in being Trump's vice president or running third party. But recently, we have seen a big shift from RFK. Due to recent moves by the DNC to blatantly rig the primary process in favor of their preferred candidate, RFK has been showing much more resistance to the DNC.
And then the Democratic Party is doing a bunch of things to make sure that even if I win more votes than Joe Biden, that they won't count. The Democratic Party thinks that I may win New Hampshire, so they've removed Joe Biden from New Hampshire, and they say that if any candidate, they've passed a rule that says any candidate who actively campaigns in New Hampshire, that the delegates they win will not be allowed into the convention. And that now what they're saying is they're going to extend that so that if you campaign in New Hampshire, which I've already done, that any votes that you get in Georgia won't count for you either.
First and foremost, the DNC has refused to hold any primary debates, which would allow for voters to truly see a side-by-side comparison between RFK and Joe Biden. Debates which would showcase Biden's weakness, especially when it comes to mental acuity. When it comes to defending his record and his ability to do the job of president, Joe Biden would fail on stage in comparison to RFK Jr. These weaknesses would show that he's unfit to run in the general election and would probably open up the door for RFK to actually win the Democratic nomination for president and have a good shot at winning in the general. In addition to this, the DNC has refused to decouple itself from the Biden campaign, and as of now, the two entities are basically working as one, shutting everyone else out of the Democratic primary. Going further, the DNC is nullifying the power of the traditional early primary states which RFK has been campaigning in, and states where RFK is doing quite well, especially Iowa and New Hampshire. Instead, they are attempting to make South Carolina, a Biden stronghold, the first primary state that will actually count towards the Democratic nomination. In violation of the Iowa and New Hampshire state constitutions, they would just ignore those primaries. They have done this to protect Joe Biden, who lost both Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada in the early 2020 primaries, and only won South Carolina due to a last-minute endorsement by Congressman Jim Clyburn ahead of the primary. They're going to skip Iowa and New Hampshire to avoid Biden being embarrassed if he were to somehow lose to RFK in either of those early states. And RFK sees this as unfair, as he has been campaigning in those states for the last 6 months or so as he's running for president. And now they are changing the rules to benefit Joe Biden. Kennedy has recently said he will consider all of his options if the DNC does not rectify this situation and offer a fair and transparent primary process. If RFK sincerely feels like the primary is being rigged against him, it is becoming increasingly likely that he may run third party. That could be as an independent or under a third party banner, such as the People's Party, the Reform Party, the Constitution Party, or yes, even the Libertarian Party. He is a classical liberal after all, and it's not that big of a long shot that he could win the Libertarian Party nomination if he were to seek it starting soon. But only time will tell.
Hey everybody, I'm going to be in Philadelphia on October 9th to make a major announcement at the very birthplace of our nation. I'm not going to tell you right now exactly what that announcement will be. I can say, though, that if you've been waiting to come to one of my public events, this will be the one to come to.
Lastly, just as a bonus, let's discuss the Libertarians. Libertarians have consistently been the best performing third party in America over the last 4 presidential elections. But this cycle appears to be extremely weak for them. Unlike 2012, 2016, or 2020, they appear to be without a frontrunner capable of winning over voters. Unless they find a star candidate who has held either statewide or federal office earlier in their career, just like Gary Johnson or Ron Paul did in the past, I would be surprised to see them crack 1% of the national popular vote in 2024, especially with how many other options people already have available at the ballot box through these other candidates we've just finished discussing. We will see what happens to the Libertarian Party in 2024. So there you have it, 5 candidates all running for president in 2024. But what are the implications of so many candidates in this race? In reality, this is really more of a 4-way race, with Cornel West taking at maximum 2% of the national popular vote, but still likely winning enough to screw over Joe Biden in Wisconsin and Michigan and deliver those states for Donald Trump. The Republican and Democrat tickets will likely be the only ones to actually win any states at the end of the day, but it could be possible for No Labels to pick off 1 or 2 states, maybe in Arizona or New Hampshire, if they really focus hard on those states, winning in a clean 3-way split with around 33% of the vote. But I wouldn't place any money on that bet. I firmly believe that No Labels will be a gift to Donald Trump, as in 2020 it was not the pro-Biden voters that made up most of the Democratic electorate, but simply people voting against Donald Trump. With Biden being such a disaster of a president, I think people will be very much inclined, if they are anti-Trump, but also unhappy with Biden, to vote for No Labels or even Robert F. Kennedy. This only hurts Joe Biden because these people were never going to vote for Donald Trump in the first place. Unlike No Labels, RFK running third party would likely equally hurt both Biden and Trump, as he is the most crossover appeal between Republicans and Democrats. RFK appeals to the Obama, Trump, Biden voter. But it is too early to tell if Kennedy would do enough to weaken Trump in states like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Georgia to really make a difference in favor of Biden. More likely, just as the No Labels party, he will hurt Biden more than he will hurt Trump in the general election. But this math can all change if Biden is not the Democratic nominee. As of right now, YouGov, the most accurate pollster of 2022, has Trump just edging out Joe Biden in the national popular vote. This translates to a much wider electoral college victory for Donald Trump, as in many of the swing states, a Republican +1 national environment would translate to a Trump victory. And that is not even considering all the third parties running. What is kind of funny to think about is that if the 5 candidates are Trump, Biden, Kennedy, Manchin, and West, it would mean that all 5 of them would be current or former Democrats. But with Trump being the most changed and the actual leader of the Republican Party, this makes it look like a race with 1 Republican, 1 Democrat, and 3 Democrat-aligned alternatives. Each type of Democrat will have their own candidate to support. The moderates can vote for Manchin if they think Biden is too extreme or too old. The progressives can vote for Cornel West if they think Biden has been too moderate in his 4 years. And the old guard Kennedy Democrats and classical liberals can vote for RFK Jr. The neoliberal party loyalists will vote for Biden if he is still the nominee, or they will vote for whoever the establishment chooses to replace Joe Biden at the last minute. In this scenario, Trump could easily win a landslide by getting just 45% in states he would usually lose under normal circumstances. All it would take is No Labels and the Green Party combining to take away at least 8 to 15% of Biden's supporters and get them to vote third party. This could lead to Trump decisively winning Wisconsin and pulling off upsets in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia. This could lead to a vote share that resembles something like 45% going to Trump, 8% to no labels, 2% to Kennedy, and 1% to Cornel West, leaving Biden with only 44%, and thereby losing to Donald Trump in each of those states. Repeat something like this in multiple swing states, and Trump will easily win, especially if election fortification is minimized due to increased awareness and security during the ballot counting process this cycle. But that is an issue all on its own. Could this be the first five-way presidential race in modern history? Will it be more like Perot in 1992 or more like the election of 1860? Do any of the third-party candidates have a shot, or are they all running campaigns built upon vanity? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. No matter what, 2024 is shaping up to be the most exciting election of the last century, so stay tuned as we cover more updates in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, subscribe, smash the like button, and share the video with a friend. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and God bless.